What's going on, everyone? This week, this is Jason. I'm going to do a Week 5 review of my best lineup, my worst lineup on Draftkings. And this I'm going to start with is my best lineup, and it is 219.78 points. It was entered into the $3 play action GPP on Draftkings. So this is a pretty good team. It finished 34 points out of first place. First place was $50,000 in this tournament. So I'm pretty proud of this team. I also had 7 other teams that were above 200 points, and I think anytime you do that, you did your homework, you did well. So I feel good about that. So within this lineup, I want to talk a little bit about it, how I constructed it. I did play the max entries. I played 150 on a $3. That's sort of what I do every week, and I seem to make a little bit of money at it every week, but I'm getting closer and closer to the top. So here it goes. Derek Carr, Amari Cooper stack. I've been kind of high on this all week. I figured, Cooper's been overdue with Verrett out for San Diego. That was just an obvious play. I think everyone kind of figured this game was going to go high scoring. So did I. So that's what I did. I played a game stack with it with Travis Benjamin. Did pretty well too. 21.7 points there on that side. A lot of people were off him after last week's performance, but that's sort of where I like to capitalize on plays at lower ownership that I think are in better spots. And the Vikings defense, it was very chalky, 30% owned, but they're playing at an elite level right now. They're the Denver of last year, so they're a start almost every week. So I was comfortable with that. Going up to the running backs, Le'Veon Bell. The Jets did pretty good on the ground, but Le'Veon Bell still gets his through the air, 24.4. Jordan Howard, just getting too much volume, and he's doing a lot better than Langford and playing against the Indianapolis defense. Even on the road, it was a great start. The Bears kept it competitive all the way up until the end, and he was a large part of that. You go into a mini game stack I did with the Jets and Steelers. It worked out really well. Sammy Coates and Brandon Marshall. Sammy Coates was phenomenal yesterday, and it's one of those games where he got more of the action than Antonio Brown did, and he was only 3,600, so it was an enormous value. And then Brandon Marshall on the other side, there was really nobody else for Ryan Fitzpatrick to throw to, 28.4 points. So, if you look at it, Derek Carr, not a ton of people played him. I think the quarterback ownership was divided amongst quite a few guys this week. But I think when you're doing this, the best thing to do is the game stack. And if they really go off, then you can get into that 240 and 250 range. And I was a couple of plays away here and there because that Raiders Chargers game might have gone on a little bit longer if that field goal didn't get botched. So it could have been even higher than what it was. Now I'm going to go to my worst lineup. And that is this one right here. This was entered into the $10 million Fantasy Football World Championship qualifier. This is the $16 tournament. I think I entered about 8 lineups in this one. None of them were really good at all. My strategy here was just going for first. I was kind of like, I'm not necessarily worried about being conservative in cashing because it's hard to cash in these tournaments. I want the prize. I want first place. So I try to do something a little bit more unusual in these type of tournaments just to give me a shot at first place and not necessarily worry about cashing. And I had Ryan Tannehill stacking this, and it just did not work out at all. The thought process was Tennessee being that funnel defense. Miami would have to go through the air. They don't have any running game, but it just did not work. And Ryan Tannehill played terrible. The Tennessee defense played very well. Landry, who's been remarkably consistent, just laid an egg, and that's really all you can say there. And it pretty much affected the entire lineup. Tajay Sharp, I played in the game stack across the field. Again, did not get the targets. They all went to Delaney Walker for the most part. So bad game stack there. Frank Gore, who had been remarkably consistent. I thought the Colts would be playing with a lead a lot longer in this game than what they were. They ended up winning, but they were trailing for a good portion of this game, and they did not utilize Frank Gore in the way that they had in previous weeks. Terrence West, I figured was a great play. I figured he was even better with the fact with all the high winds and everything that they'd be running the ball even more. Just didn't quite work out. He only had 95 yards, 5 yards shy of the 100-yard bonus. And the other game stack just kind of ended up being a kind of a field goal fest. The Odell Beckham, Jordy Nelson game stack just didn't quite work out. The defenses played a little bit better than what people expected. I think part of it is too, I'm starting to watch with the Giants. They're playing just a lot slower than what I would like as far as fantasy points. Also, Will Tye in this one was another, just a value pick at tight end, but none of them worked out. And the only thing that did work out again in this was the Vikings defense, which I had a massive share of across the board. But looking at this lineup, I don't regret playing it. I'm going to take weird oddball shots at these fantasy qualifiers throughout the year because I figure that's just the way that I can give myself a chance when one of these stacks does go off of actually hitting first place, because you do see the low ownership of Ryan Tannehill, Frank Gore, Tajay Sharp, Will Tye. There might have been some better plays in there, but you got to keep in mind too that these tournaments you're playing against a lot of the sharper players, even in the smaller buy-ins, they're in they're in abundance in these tournaments. So you got to have a little bit different look at it than you would in a traditional cheaper GPP like the $3 play action. So I'm looking at it from that angle, is that I'm trying to get the win. I'm not worried necessarily about cashing. So no regrets here, but it's interesting to look at your worst and your best lineup every week so you can learn a little bit more going forward. That's it. Have a good one.